If there's one core difference between men who effortlessly attract women and those who constantly feel stuck, confused, or even rejected, it's not some secret pickup trick or hidden charisma. It's this: they know what not to do. Most dating advice out there is centered around action. Be more confident. Say the right things. Dress well. Impress her. Keep her interested. And yes, all of that can help. But there's another side of the coin that's often overlooked, and it's even more powerful: the mistakes you must avoid at all costs. Because attraction isn't only built through bold moves and charming words, it's also destroyed through the wrong behaviors, and sometimes the things you think are helping are actually doing the most damage. Here's where most men slip up. They believe that if they just try harder, if they're nicer, more available, more generous, more accommodating, she'll finally see them as worthy. They think going out of their way to please her is the golden ticket to her heart. But in reality, some behaviors don't just weaken attraction, they erase it entirely. Worse yet, most men don't even realize they're making these mistakes. They're left sitting alone, wondering, why did she lose interest all of a sudden? What happened? We were doing so well. Why does she seem distant now? By the time they figure it out, if they ever do, it's too late. The damage has already been done. So today, we're cutting through the noise. No vague advice, no gimmicks, just truth, straight and unfiltered. These are 5 things you should never do with a woman. If you want to earn her respect, inspire her desire, and build a real connection that lasts, you must avoid these traps completely. Let's start with the first and most common mistake. Thing 1. Never seek validation from her. Validation seeking is one of the biggest attraction killers in the dating world, yet it hides in plain sight. Most men have no clue they're doing it because it's subtle. It doesn't always show up as desperate begging or obvious insecurity. Sometimes it wears the mask of being considerate or checking in, but underneath, it's all the same. It can show up in dozens of ways: constantly needing reassurance. Do you still like me? Are you mad at me? Over-explaining yourself. I just wanted to make sure you didn't take it the wrong way. Asking for permission to be yourself. Is it okay if I say this? Fishing for compliments. Do you think I'm funny? Am I attractive to you? At its core, validation seeking is rooted in insecurity. It's when a man places his sense of worth in the hands of a woman, waiting for her approval, her compliments, or her emotional reaction to feel okay about himself. But here's the raw truth. Women don't want to be your emotional babysitter. The moment she feels like she's responsible for your self-esteem, for constantly propping you up or reassuring you, the attraction quietly starts to fade. She may not even realize it at first, but deep down, a part of her starts pulling away. What she truly wants is a man who knows his own value, a man who doesn't need to be told he's enough, because he already knows it. She wants to feel drawn to your energy, not feel burdened by it. So how do you stop seeking validation? Here's how. 1. Detach from her reactions. Let's say you say something funny. Don't immediately look at her for laughter or approval. Don't skin her face to check if you did well. Speak because it's authentic, not because you're waiting for feedback. If you make a decision, stick with it. Don't backtrack or second guess yourself based on her expression. Be grounded in your own choices. 2. Give validation, don't seek it. Flip the script. Instead of trying to get her to confirm your value, start observing her. Pay attention to what she says, how she carries herself. Challenge her playfully. Show her that you're a man with standards, not someone desperate for approval. The moment you stop needing her validation is the moment she starts wondering what makes you so sure of yourself. Coming up next, the second mistake that silently destroys your chances without you even noticing. When you do compliment a woman, don't just focus on her looks. Every guy does that. Instead, speak to her depth. Compliment her in a way that shows you're not just noticing her appearance, but the way she thinks, how she carries herself, or the passion she brings into a conversation. That's where real impact lies. Because here's the truth. She's attracted to confidence, not neediness. Confidence doesn't mean being loud or arrogant. It's not about showing off or trying to dominate every conversation. True confidence is quiet. It's calm. It's the steady belief that you are enough, regardless of whether she approves or not. A man who isn't seeking her approval. A man who doesn't need constant reassurance. That man naturally commands respect. And wherever respect goes, attraction follows. Thing 2. Never put her on a pedestal. Only of the most dangerous and misunderstood ideas in dating is this common belief: if I treat her like a queen, she'll treat me like a king. It sounds noble. It feels romantic. But in reality, the more you place her on a pedestal, the more she looks down on you. This is one of the most painful truths many men eventually learn, often too late. Because attraction doesn't grow from worship, it grows from mutual respect. And a woman cannot respect a man who acts like she's above him. Does that mean you should treat her poorly? Absolutely not. It means you should stop treating her like a goddess. She's a human being, not an idol. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be intrigued, challenged, respected, seen. A woman wants a man who walks beside her, not someone groveling beneath her feet. So how do you stop putting her on a pedestal? 1. Don't over-compliment her. Sure, kind words matter, but when you constantly flood her with praise, it begins to lose its meaning. The truth is, compliments are most powerful when they are earned and rare. Say something when it truly counts, when it's real. That's when it lands the hardest. 2. Build your own life. A man who places a woman above everything else often does so because he has nothing else driving him. He's bored. He has no purpose, no direction. Get busy, have goals, develop passions. Your life should already be full. She's not meant to be your escape from emptiness. She's meant to be a part of your journey, not the destination. 3. Call her out when necessary. If she says something disrespectful, say something. If she acts entitled, don't just smile and accept it. A woman respects a man who sets healthy boundaries and stands his ground. She won't fall for a man because he blindly worships her. She falls for the man who makes her feel something real, something grounded. And here's the reality: real attraction cannot exist in fantasy. It lives in authenticity, in challenge, in presence. Thing 3. Never let her control the relationship. Next one is subtle, and it happens to more men than they'd like to admit. A woman won't test you because she's evil or manipulative. She won't challenge you because she's cruel. In most cases, she does it because she needs to see who you really are. She needs to feel your strength, your presence. She wants to know, can this man hold his frame, or will he crumble the moment I push? And so, she'll test you. She'll test your patience, your confidence. She'll test your ability to say no, your ability to set boundaries, and your willingness to lead. And if you fail those tests, if you give in too easily, if you backtrack on your values just to keep her happy, she'll slowly and silently lose respect for you. One of the worst things a man can do in a relationship is to let the woman dictate the direction of it all. This usually doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly. You start by agreeing with everything she says, just to keep the peace. You let her decide where things are going, not because you believe in her direction, but because you're afraid of upsetting her. You give her all the power, thinking that if she's happy, the relationship will be strong. But relationships don't work that way. Women aren't drawn to men who surrender leadership. They're drawn to men who know where they're going, men who can include her in their vision, not abandon theirs for hers. Up next, the 4th mistake that silently strips you of your power and makes you forget who you really are. You find yourself apologizing constantly, even when you've done absolutely nothing wrong. Why? Because deep down, you're afraid of conflict. You're afraid she'll get upset. You think keeping the peace will keep the relationship alive. But here's what most men don't understand. A woman doesn't want to lead. She wants to trust. She wants to feel safe, knowing that the man she's with can take the lead, guide the direction, and hold firm when it matters. Not because he's controlling, but because he knows who he is and where he's going. Leadership in a relationship isn't about domination. It's not about barking orders or demanding obedience. It's about having clarity, conviction, and the courage to stand your ground. When a man knows where he's going and refuses to apologize for it, a woman can relax into his presence. But when a man constantly hands her the reins, when he tiptoes around her mood, avoids conflict, and lets her control the pace, she doesn't feel safer. she starts to resent him. Thing 4. Never be afraid to walk away. This is one of the deepest truths in male-female dynamics. Nothing kills attraction faster than a man who is afraid to lose a woman. When a man fears loss, he compromises his standards. He tolerates disrespect. He swallows his voice, hides his true feelings, and accepts things that make him miserable, all in the desperate hope that she'll stay. But here's the paradox that most men don't realize. The man who is least afraid to lose a woman is often the one who keeps her the longest. Why? Because she knows he's with her by choice, not out of desperation. She knows he's not clinging to her because he needs validation, attention, or emotional survival. He stays because he wants to, and that makes all the difference. A man who can walk away when something violates his values is a man who commands respect. And respect is the foundation of all real attraction. When respect fades, everything else, passion, chemistry, desire, starts to crumble. But when you fear losing her, you become overly agreeable. You stop enforcing boundaries. You let subtle disrespect slide. Even when your gut screams otherwise, you tolerate bad behavior. Not because you're weak, but because you don't want to lose her. And in doing so, you send a dangerous message that your self-worth is tied to her presence. Let's make something very clear. Women don't want to be your entire purpose. They don't want to feel like they're the glue holding your life together. That kind of pressure is draining, not attractive. What they crave is the reassurance that if they ever left, you'd still be whole. That's why walking away is so powerful. It's not about being cold or manipulative. It's not about making her chase you or winning some imaginary power game. That it's about self-respect. When a man walks away, he's not punishing her. He's making a statement. These are my standards. These are my boundaries. If they're not respected, I'm gone. And that sends a deep psychological signal. She realizes this man is different. This man is rare. Because let's face it, most men won't walk away. Most men will bend over backwards. They'll tolerate moods, excuses, emotional chaos. They'll change their personality, abandon their goals, and accept far less than they deserve just to avoid losing her. But a man who can walk away, that man has options. And a man with options is naturally attractive, not because he plays games, but because he lives with abundance instead of fear. The psychological effect of walking away here is something that runs deep in a woman's subconscious. Women are wired to be drawn to men who value themselves. And if you can't walk away from a relationship, or even a moment, that's draining your energy, or disrespecting your values, then what are you really telling her? You're telling her to 1. You don't believe you can do better. Point 2. You're emotionally dependent on her. 3. You'll tolerate almost anything just to keep her. None of these messages spark desire. None of them make her feel safe, inspired, or magnetically drawn to you. In fact, they do the opposite. They trigger disappointment, frustration, and eventually detachment. Because no woman can feel deep attraction to a man who has no limits, and no woman can respect a man who doesn't respect himself. Next up, the final mistake, one that not only repels women, but leaves you completely isolated. When you need others most, but when you have the strength to walk away, calmly, silently, and with dignity, you trigger something deep inside her, a primal instinct, a gut-level reaction. She suddenly sees you differently. Not as a man who fears losing her, but as a man who knows his value and refuses to settle for less. She begins to realize something powerful. If I want to keep this man, I have to bring my best, because no matter how much she tests, teases, or plays it cool, women don't want a man they can control. They want a man they have to earn. When should you walk away? 1. When she disrespects you. Disrespect doesn't always look dramatic. It can be subtle. It shows up when she constantly dismisses your opinions, mocks your ambitions, or crosses emotional boundaries with little concern. Maybe she belittles your goals. Maybe she challenges your patience over and over, just to see how far she can push. The moment you tolerate it, even once, you're sending a silent message. This is okay. You can keep treating me like this. And from that moment forward, she loses just a little more respect. 2. When she plays mind games. If she's constantly hot and cold, if she pulls you in one moment and pushes you away the next, if she keeps you guessing, unsure where you stand, walking on eggshells. Walk away. These aren't signs of love or emotional confusion. These are power plays designed to keep control. A woman who's serious about you won't toy with your emotions like a puppet on a string. 3. When she's clearly losing interest, you don't need her to say it out loud. You'll feel it when she stops engaging, when her effort disappears, when she starts treating you like an option instead of a priority. At that point, match her energy. Pull away, leave. Never chase, never beg. If she truly values you, your absence will echo louder than your words ever could. How to walk away with strength. So let's say the moment comes. You know it's time. Here's how to walk away like a man, not like a boy trying to win her sympathy. 1. Don't announce it. Just do it. Weak men make scenes. They text long emotional paragraphs or say things like "you'll regret this." But strong men, they simply disappear. No drama, no begging, just silence. Point 2. Don't make it about her, make it about you. You're not walking away to punish her. You're not trying to make her miss you. You're walking because you refuse to stay in a place that no longer respects your worth. This is your boundary, not her punishment. Point 3. Never look back. One of the most common mistakes men make is walking away and then looking over their shoulder. They check in, they send a "just thinking about you" text, they wait for her to come back, hoping the absence made her change. But that defeats the purpose. If you walk for good. You walk to reclaim your self-respect, not to manipulate hers. The final truth on walking away: a man who can walk away calmly, silently, and with purpose is a man who places his self-respect above temporary comfort. And that is the kind of man a woman never forgets. That's the man she regrets losing. That's the man she compares others to. That's the man she's drawn back to, not because he begged, but because he meant it when he left. Thing 5. Never be inconsistent with who you are. Women are naturally drawn to certainty, not the fake kind that comes from arrogance or forced confidence, but the real kind, the kind that radiates from a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and doesn't change depending on who's watching. A woman doesn't need a perfect man, but she's instinctively looking for something solid, something stable, someone who won't crumble the moment things get difficult, someone whose energy doesn't dissolve under pressure. But an inconsistent man, he says one thing, does another. He acts confident in private, but becomes timid in public. He adjusts his personality like a chameleon, shifting to fit the expectations of whoever he's around. One minute he's bold, the next he's passive. He jokes differently around his friends, changes opinions to avoid conflict, and sacrifices his values just to keep her happy. And most of the time, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. He tells himself he's just being adaptable, that he's reading the room, that he's trying to be considerate. But in reality, he's erasing his identity piece by piece until there's nothing left to respect. Next, the painful truth about inconsistency and why women lose attraction the moment they sense you're not grounded in who you are. Many men, without realizing it, will avoid conflict, suppress their opinions, and constantly adapt their behavior, all in an effort to be liked, to fit in, to keep the peace. But what they don't realize is that each time they shift who they are to please someone else, they lose a part of their authenticity. And that's the fastest way to kill attraction. Because women are wired, not just emotionally, but biologically, to seek stability in a partner. And that stability runs far deeper than money or social status. She's looking for emotional stability, psychological strength. Why? Because from an evolutionary standpoint, a woman's survival used to depend on her ability to choose a man she could trust in uncertain times, a man who wouldn't flinch in the face of danger, a man whose word meant something, a man whose energy was consistent, not chaotic. She needed to feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. So what happens when a man is inconsistent? When his moods swing unpredictably, when his words don't align with his actions, when he's confident in public, but weak in private, when he says one thing and does another, her instincts take over, and those instincts say, this man is unsafe. She might not even be fully aware of it, but slowly she begins to pull away. She tests him more often. She questions him more deeply. She feels less and less drawn to his presence. Not because he's a bad man, but because she no longer feels grounded when she's around him. How inconsistency kills attraction. 1. It makes her question who you really are. When your personality is constantly shifting, when your values seem flexible depending on who you're around, she starts to wonder, is this the real him, or is he just showing me what I want to see? She'll begin to second-guess your words. She'll doubt your intentions. She'll stop trusting your promises, and once trust fades, interest disappears quickly after. 2. It signals weakness, not adaptability. There's a difference between being adaptable and being insecure. A strong man can navigate different situations. He can be playful at a party, focused in a business meeting, and deeply compassionate with someone he loves, all while staying centered in his identity. He doesn't have to change who he is. He just knows which part of himself to lead with. But a man who becomes a different person in every room, who needs validation from everyone he meets, that man comes across as weak, like he's not grounded in who he truly is, like he needs external approval just to function. And women feel that. 3. It makes her feel unsafe. Safety isn't just about physical protection. It's about emotional reliability. If today you say you love deep, meaningful conversations, but tomorrow you shrug it off and act indifferent. If one moment you talk about commitment, and the next you dodge the topic entirely. If you're bold and charming in front of your friends, but insecure and unsure when you're alone with her, she won't know which version of you is real. And a woman who doesn't feel safe, who doesn't know which you she's dealing with, can never fully surrender to attraction. Because how can she trust something that constantly shifts? The power of being unshakable. Want to know what separates the most attractive men in history? The men who left lasting impressions, the ones women couldn't forget, the ones who inspired loyalty, desire, and admiration. It wasn't their money, it wasn't their looks, it was their steadiness, their unshakable presence. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, philosopher, leader, surrounded by war, betrayal, politics, and constant uncertainty. Yet he remained calm, grounded, and composed. Despite the chaos swirling around him, he never bent to fit the world. He stood for something. He stayed who he was in every situation, with every person, at every moment. And that's the kind of man women and the world can't help but respect. Coming next, how you can cultivate that kind of rock-solid identity, and why living by your own code is the most magnetic trait a man can develop throughout history. The men who left the deepest mark were not the loudest or flashiest. They were the ones who stayed grounded in their principles. Even when the world tried to shake them, they didn't change their character to please the crowd. They didn't trade integrity for applause. They stood firm, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Think of Bruce Lee, a man known for adaptability in combat, for fluid motion and endless refinement. And yet, at his core, he remained faithful to his philosophy, to his discipline, and to his essence. He evolved, yes, he adjusted when the situation demanded it, but he never betrayed himself. Even today, the most magnetic men are not those who shout the loudest, but those who can calmly say with their presence alone, "This is who I am. I will grow, I will rise, but I will not abandon myself to win approval." And that kind of presence is rare. That kind of presence is powerful. How to stop being inconsistenzo? How do you build that kind of unshakable identity, one that naturally draws people in, especially women? 1. Define your values and stick to them. If you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. Take time to get brutally honest with yourself. What do you truly believe in? What kind of man do you want to be? Once you've defined that foundation, refuse to abandon it, even when things get uncomfortable, especially when things get uncomfortable. 2. Be the same man in all situations. Whether you're talking to your boss, hanging with your best friend, or sitting across from a woman you admire, don't morph into someone else. Adjust your tone, your delivery, your timing, but never adjust your character. Let every person you meet encounter the same version of you, real, grounded, unwavering. 3. Align your words with your actions. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. If you speak with conviction, let your behavior reflect it. Because the moment your words and actions fall out of alignment, you lose credibility. And once credibility is gone, attraction soon follows. The final truth: attraction isn't just about charm. It's not only about what you say or how confident you appear. It's also, and most importantly, about what you refuse to tolerate. Because a man who seeks constant validation, puts a woman on a pedestal, lets her control the relationship, fears walking away, or constantly changes to please others, will always lose respect. And when respect is gone, power is gone. And where there is no power, attraction cannot survive. But a man who stands firm, a man who knows his worth, a man who leads with quiet strength, refuses to compromise his self-respect, and shows up as the same grounded individual no matter who's watching. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she values. That's the man she desires. Because in a world overflowing with men who bend, break, and beg, a man who stands unshaken becomes unforgettable. So, ask yourself honestly, are you the kind of man a woman can't help but respect? Or are you just another man hoping for her approval? The choice is yours. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to step into that rare kind of masculinity, subscribe for more content like this. Stay strong, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.